Hello there, and welcome back to Star Wars Shadow of the Republic, Episode 6. And today is finally the day we will be
Hello.
striking back at the Empire in a major way, now that we have the Negotiator. What I'm doing now is checking the bounties put out by the Mandalorians. To see what I think I could relatively safely take out. Because after all, if I go too deep into Imperial space, I'm going to run into, ISDs escorted by immobilizers and victory ISDs and just all sorts of stuff that I can't handle with a single Venator. As a matter of fact, they enjoy gate camping with those fleets. So I'm looking for something ideally that is outside of Imperial space, or if it is in Imperial space, not very far into it, somewhere that I already know the sector exists. Because the scouting is also fairly difficult otherwise. And I see this one. This is a Quasar escort carrier, and it is in hut space, I believe. But you can see I'm messing around with the Negotiator a little bit. I just kind of wanted to show what all my other ships were doing, and why I'm taking this on the way that I am. The Quasar, at least in lore, I'm a little uncertain whether or not it's true in Interworlds here, but in lore is a very minimally armed ship. It is essentially 4 hangars strapped together with a little bit of crew quarters and some engines. It is kind of built in the stereotypical Star Destroyer Dorito shape, but in all other ways, it is not a Star Destroyer. As you'll see here in a moment.
Autopilot. Deploy fire to
I believe they were made by the Celestins, if that's how you say that. I wouldn't know, I only ever read the books. So there you can see on the bottom, you've got the 4 small hangars, with that distinctive triangle shape. Throwing on my ion cannons and lasers to better strip the shields here. I can see there's already got a couple of bounty hunters after him. It's already mostly dead. If I don't jump in on this, I'm going to lose out not only on the bounty, but also on the reputation that comes along with it. And the reputation is 100% what I'm after.
That's really not scary.
Shield generator.
So as you can see, even though I'm staying pretty still, and it's not a great idea to be still right in their turret fire, they're just not heavily armed enough to take advantage of that, really.
Danger.
My stellar flying there.
Stop, please! I'm not talking to you.
Like you won't be Word, pilot. I won't like
Now, I do have orders for a capital ship to come back me up. However, like I said, I need to hurry on this and do as much damage as possible. That way I don't wind up missing out.
Let's fight.
You can see the NRL version of the Empire coming in to back and ship up. Honestly, game mechanics wise, it was coming in to destroy that Imperial ship, but roleplay wise, it was back up.
what's so scared. You're done.
Deploy fire to class cruiser.
Another example of stellar piloting.
What do you want?
Kind of makes me want a sound effect of the autopilot voice in this will sometimes, when it hits an asteroid, say autopilot epically failed. Kind of want to take that and scrub out the auto part, so I just have pilot epically failed. It'd probably get really annoying with how often I fly into things to have me play it every time. Well, third time I've flown directly into this ship. Nobody give me the flight stick in real life. I'll stick to these simulators where I can just safely bounce off of things. As you can see, they've got a Lord, I can't quite make out what it's called, and I can't remember. But they do have what is basically the Imperial version of the Arquitans coming in to support this ship. Based on their names, I'm going to assume they're part of a larger fleet. Just a sec. This thumbnail is tiny. But they do have backup coming in. And I want to take that out. Now, part of me wants to capture one or both of those ships. It's actually something that I have to fight at all times when I'm playing this game for myself, is that as much as I enjoy getting free assets, it's not a great idea to spend all of my time sitting here capturing ships when I can make the money to buy my own inside of like 10 minutes. It's especially hard to fight when I'm playing Interworlds because I do enjoy the ships in this game so much. They're gorgeous. I've been dreaming about flying these Star Destroyers and everything for like half my life. And it's so easy to take them. But it is very time consuming. And in terms of this series, it's not exactly riveting gameplay. Bonk.
I'm not talking.
I really can't fly. I don't remember why it is that I keep flying into this thing. It might have been lagging a little bit. I don't have a good enough CPU to really run this game.
R41 Star Chaser.
But there we go.
Explosion imminent.
Taking it down. And immediately, both of those bounty hunter vessels that I was fighting it with have gone hostile against me. Oh, and you can see in the background there that I have completed a separate ship boarding mission. I don't even remember what that one was. I don't think it shows up in the editing software either.
Danger.
It was either just another Arquitans or one that I did just for some credits. Not anything important.
So keen. Let's fight.
Danger.
But yes, these bounty hunters both immediately went hostile after we took down our shared target. I assume it has something to do with how many ships I've been destroying and stealing. I probably have a fairly high bounty with the guild myself, and of course there's no honor amongst bounty hunters. This R41 Star Chaser would be remarkably easy to take down if it was on its own. Unfortunately, the fire spray, which is in theory Asajj Ventress, funny running into her again, is much harder to take down, especially as a fighter. If I was in a medium or even a large, it would be fairly easy, but the fire spray is just remarkably tough to take down. in a fighter. Matter of fact, I'm lucky she's not equipped with the seismic charges. Ah, so that's why it doesn't show up later. I captured that acclimator for a mission, and then, because I was in the middle of this dogfight, distracted, it was in Imperial space next to a station and got destroyed after I captured it, and it switched over to hostile with that station. But I still got paid, I still got the relationship bonus. I would have preferred to have another acclimator in my merchant marine fleet, but that is the consequences of declining to save scum. Now, I'm taking a lot of hits in this fight fairly soon,
Danger.
and also I'm just not doing very much damage even to her shields. So I see that Rebellion Nebulon B, Nebulon C, I'm not sure which, over there. And I'm gonna make a break for that one to lose the heat.
Nebulon B escort frigate.
Because I am not winning this fight. I believe this is not actually the soulless one. This is one of the
Docking granted.
stock Belbalabs I picked up because I was too tempted. I knew that if I lost the soulless one, I would be too tempted to save scum and load a save. So I, at some point, and I don't remember if I've covered this already, I just bought a bunch of Belbalabs because they're fun to fly. And so long as I wasn't in the actual named soulless one that I started the game with, if I lost one, I could just have another ship come pick me up or teleport to the closest ship of mine. So, I'm just kind of looking around, seeing how long it's going to take for my capital ships to get into this area. Because obviously, a single fighter is not going to successfully take on a Arquitans here. Escort Imperial Light Cruiser is what they're calling them. This is a very fun ship to fly as a player. Matter of fact, I would say it's probably the best ship for stealing Federation Lucre Hulks, because it's small enough to get inside the donut of the ship into the center, away from the turbolasers, and it's got enough firepower to strip the shields. I've got some screenshots somewhere of me doing that. I sent them into the Discord channel because I think it's hilarious. But it's small enough to be fairly nimble, large enough to be fairly powerful. I'm not sure I would ever use it for anything other than a dedicated player ship. But in the hands of the player, it is fairly nice to fly. Not quite big enough to take on stations, or really even other capital ships alone. But any sort of like commerce raiding, or basically any of the standard combat missions, escort missions, easily accomplished with one of those, either in Arquitans or in the Imperial escort cruiser.
Deploying
So now that
RC-1.
the Rebel Nebulon B is engaging, I decided I'd fly out and see what's what. Very quickly realized that I was not going to be able to take on the Imperial vessel because these starfighters were going to get in my way. And as much as I am willing to lose one of these, I don't exactly want to. So I do bail out of there. Fortunately, the Negotiator is not very far away, just 2 jumps away. And frankly, the size difference alone between the ships is more than enough to handle it. So I'm gonna fly there, repair and rearm
Jump completed.
that fighter, and bring in the big guns to take on that light cruiser.
Bowling.
That right there is the best part of having a carrier.
Approaching. Get spaced.
Jump completed.
Yes,
No
I
free.
did specifically leave this in just so you could see this gorgeous ship flying. You're welcome. Or if you don't like it, sue me.
Imperial light cruiser.
The autopilot flight shenanigans there.
Auto.
I always think they're a little funny.
Disengage.
We are doing hyperspace drifting.
I won't let you get away with that. You really won't get far against us. Try talking with him. He might fly better.
Alright. And as you can see, 26% shields, 79% hull.
RC-1.
And as soon as we get in range, it's just gonna disappear.
Imperial light cruiser.
I can't take much more.
Danger.
It never even stood a chance. And that is, of course, the best kind of fight, is an unfair fight in your favor.
Taking serious damage. This is not what I signed up. Thank you. Preparing to dock.
I did lose that fighter anyway because it was trying to dock while I was fighting this ship and the starfighters and
Right-wing
escort.
RG-1.
Want some more?
That happens a lot, and it just kind of reinforces why I try not to fly the Solus one in a risky area anymore, because I don't want to lose it, and it is just so easy to lose a single fighter.
You're not much of a pilot, are you? You don't bother me. I can't take much more of it.
Especially because I did happen to equip, accidentally, while setting up the scenario, I happened to equip the Solus one with some slightly stronger ion cannons that I believe are Imperial in nature rather than the standard Confederate ones. So, at the moment, it's completely irreplaceable with its current loadout. And from a roleplay perspective, we'll pretend, you know, that Grievous had some upgraded cannons on his, but
Yeah, no.
really I just made a mistake in building the ship out.
I can't handle this.
Incoming missile.
That was not smart.
Now, this clip
Danger.
here does show a weakness of the Venator Star Destroyer, and honestly all Star Destroyers in general. It has a hard time taking out fighters by itself. Even with this escort corvette, if it weren't for the fact that I could launch my fighters, I probably would have lost that corvette. Now, obviously, just a handful of fighters is not going to take down this full-strength
Escape pod.
Star Destroyer,
I just
but
wanna get home
it could
in one
absolutely
piece.
prevent me from running away until they could get some reinforcements, just by pinging down my shields every once in a while
Customs
and not letting my
corvette.
hyperdrive spool up. So never underestimate just how dangerous a fighter can be, or a bomber can be, just because you're in a great big capital ship. That is a
Space suit.
very, very quick way to lose tens of millions of credits worth of capital
Thanks,
ship.
hero.
Escape pod. X-Wing T-65B.
I did mop those up fairly easily, and the clip got more and more boring from there, so I decided I'd go ahead and skip through a little bit. The teleporter can be a little bit glitchy. So what I'm doing is turning in this quest. You can see I'm going from 2 to 10, which is just enough to unlock the Mandalorian war missions, which is what we're going to be tackling next to really strike back at
Good
the
luck out
Empire in a
there.
big way. It's going to give us oodles and oodles of reputation with the Mandalorians and credits, and it's going to give us some... Basically, it's going to give us a reason to take on certain Imperial targets. Obviously, you know, this is a sandbox game. You can take on whatever targets you want. But it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense unless you just want to cripple a certain faction to take them on. Unless you're fighting for somebody else's faction and they'll pay you millions and millions of credits to take something on. So that's what we'll be doing next. I did put in a couple of stations in Mandalorian space. I believe that is a missile component factory, because something I've noticed in my playthroughs working with the Mandalorians is they are almost always bottlenecked not by durasteel plates or module prefabs or anything. They are bottlenecked by missile components, of all things. Because so many of their vessels rely on missiles to be equipped, they just can't build or outfit any of their ships with the number of missile component factories that they usually have. So, I build out a couple of these. Oh, That one that I had pulled up already was just a combination solar plant and rhydonium refinery, probably. I think this one that I'm building now is the missile component factory. I'm not even sure that these are profitable directly in credits when I build them. Because missile components are such a cheap commodity, they're only like 13 credits max, I think. Um, so, you know, not exactly a high margin product there, but because they are necessary and they sell so regularly, they're great for farming reputation um, and also piloting skill. And of course, reinforcing the Mandalorians because, like I said, that's their bottleneck a lot of times is their missile components. So it doesn't really hurt anything. I know they're at least, breaking even. And so I build some small missile component factories. I let them throw together the components and feed me some information from the sensor array. It doesn't take much. So, I've got a goofy, squat little factory building now. If you can't tell, this episode is absolutely centered around working with the Mandalorians to strike back at the Empire. Um, Start to finish, that's what this episode's about. Realized that I had left way too much of that station construction tacked in there. So now we are taking on, or we have accepted the quest to go in and work with the Mandalorians. And we're pretty quickly going to take on a mission to destroy some Imperial stations. Because each one of those pays out like 15 million credits. And with the Negotiator, so long as we scout carefully and avoid any Imperial fleets, it is actually fairly easy to take on anything but a defense station. In player control. Don't trust the NPC pilots to take on a station. They're awful at it. But with player control, it's fairly easy. So, what we're doing right now is scouting out. And as you can see, I was right to scout. There is, in fact, what is that, 2 Star Destroyers, an Immobilizer, and a Vindicator? Just right there, on top of the gate. In fact, I'm in danger. Oh, and there's a victory over there as well. Basically, even if I had been in the Negotiator instead of a fighter, I would be massively outgunned, and it's only the very quick
Q4.
flight profile and hyperspace time, schooling time that can possibly save me at this point, and I am trying to get out of here
Danger.
as quickly as possible.
Danger.
That could be your last mistake, Negotiator. That's just not good enough.
As you can see in that bottom left-hand corner, they
Get
have
off
sent
my radar.
their entire fighter complement after me. And they are very quickly gaining on me up until I do finally escape the interdiction well of the immobilizer and am able to jump to hyperspace and get away. That was cut very, very close, and is yet another reason why I'm flying things other than my favorite ship. And then we pop up on this. It is a Mandalorian, I believe it's a Keldame,
High
taking
interceptor.
on a Victory 2 and its fighter complement. And so long as that other fleet doesn't get involved, I feel fairly confident that we can take this on. And if we do, and we can get that fleet involved, we will draw the fleet away from the other gate and let the Negotiator slip by to go take on that station. So, the Mandalorians have given us a distraction to complete our mission, more or less.
TIE bomber.
And I don't want to hang them out to dry, so I'm going to help them out, take on these fighters.
That was a really silly thing to do. I think you need backup. I don't like this.
TIE bomber.
Engaging.
TIE bomber.
Engaging.
You're wrecking my shields.
Let's
We're taking these.
As you can see in this mod, the TIE Fighters are not nearly as fragile as they are in the existing stories and lore.
Autonomous distress drone.
They also do seem to be
TIE
hyperdrive
interceptor.
equipped,
TIE bomber.
which makes things a little more difficult.
TIE interceptor.
striking.
Of course, I don't think anyone would want to play an Imperial faction if
This is not what I signed up for.
the TIE Fighters weren't equipped with travel drive. I can't imagine being that patient, that's for sure.
Mercy.
Imperial Cosenti cruiser.
Striking.
now that we've gotten that distraction done, I am returning to the Negotiator. I thought this was a little cinematic, so I decided to include it. Now, what I'm going to be doing now is making sure that distraction worked and actually drew off that fleet by sending out
I
a
knew I could count on
very
you.
cheap vulture droid with a satellite. Deploy right there at the gate. Because there is no way I am risking my very expensive capital ship that I've saved this whole series to buy for one 15 million credit contract. We're gonna make for sure certain that it's gonna be safe. A 200,000 credit vulture droid is nothing compared to the, what was it, 50 million credit Venator? So, off it goes. And as you can see, there's nothing here. The distraction seems to have worked. Or maybe they just flew off on their own. But the way seems to be clear.
Autopilot disengaged.
Requesting immediate backup.
So, we have jumped behind enemy lines and are taking on their sensor components production facility here in, Lord, I forget which sector this is. Now, you will notice I am sending out scouting droids to check out my escape vector, because it would really suck to take on this station and then try to fly back out and run back into that fleet. So, don't think I'm being
We were hit.
all reckless or anything like that.
Customs Corvette.
I do spend a lot of time scouting and preparing the way with this fleet carrier here. I do make mistakes, obviously, but I spend a lot of time trying to avoid them.
Danger.
Requesting immediate backup.
Danger.
I didn't mean to do that. Sorry.
Explosion imminent.
So, just for reference, this is more or less what it looks like to take on anything other than a trade or defense station. Once you've taken out, 2 or 3 defense
Danger.
platforms, not defense platforms, but defense modules, they're more or less helpless.
Shield hit.
So
Sensor
I'm going to show
components
this one
factory.
more or less in full. There's a couple times I messed with the map for a while, and I've cut that out just for the sake of brevity. But I'm going to show this one in full. That way I don't have to show as much of future engagements like this. I kind of want this to show as an example of how easy it is or can be to take on a production station once you have a decent capital ship, we'll say.
Incoming missile.
It's risky, but it's not super difficult.
You're really asking for it now.
Sensor components factory. Imperial goes anti-cruiser.
And there you go, 15 million credits in the bag, just like that.
Incoming missile. Customs corvette. Cantwell class arrestor cruiser.
This is, for example, part of what makes this risky. You can see, once I've taken on this station, I'm at a little over half shield. And now they've got their patrol capital ships coming in to reinforce it. This one is another of
Incoming
the
missile.
interdiction-capable ships, the Cantwell Arrestor, that I believe is from Andor. I think that's when it was
I've
introduced.
got you now.
Anywho, it has very powerful tractor
Danger.
beams that are able to prevent you from jumping to hyperspace, and also moving much in general,
Incoming missile.
as you can see based on that red check engine light symbol.
Incoming missile. Danger.
You'll pay dearly for that, pilot.
Danger.
You're in serious trouble.
Incoming missile.
You're really going to get it now.
Alright, so while I was actually assaulting the station itself, it was for the best to keep the fighter complement on board the ship. Because the stations, while fairly helpless against a capital ship, they can shred fighters pretty easily. However, now that it's been destroyed and I'm under attack by
Incoming
especially this
missile.
Cantwell, it's very difficult to maneuver while inside the tractor beams, and If it were in the hands of a player, this would be very dangerous because they could probably outrange me or get underneath my ship out of my turret coverage. Unfortunately, it's a little bit less dangerous in the hands of the AI just because they aren't coded in a way to take advantage of it
Incoming
as well as they
missile.
could. But as you can see right now, he's out of my range, and I am not moving with anywhere near the speed that I normally would.
Danger.
If it weren't for the fact that
Incoming
the ship is
missile.
still approaching me, there would be a pretty good chance that it could just keep me at range and slowly whittle me down with its escorts. So I've launched my bomber squadron to take a swing at that capital ship, and I'm launching my vulture droids to run interference versus these TIE fighters and I believe those are escort Gazantes,
Get spaced.
because my turrets
Danger.
on this ship are going to have a little bit of difficulty
Incoming missile.
otherwise.
Pretty ineffectual. So, you want
Danger.
some more, do you? This is bad. New attack orders. Proceed. Scramble. Affirmative.
I didn't mean to do that. Sorry.
Bad move, pilot. So, you want some more, do you?
Danger.
As you can see, this Cantwell has made a very poor decision in letting me get so close. And I should be able to take it out fairly quickly. I am having to disarm and rearm my turrets to get them to shift target priority. X4 turrets have a pretty bad habit of locking in to one target and refusing to switch, even when there's a much more important target. The Defiance is fighting something or other. It's been surrounded by fighters itself, but frankly, I can't really take my attention off of this to micro that fight, so I'm just going to have to see if it can handle itself.
Incoming missile.
You're going to get it now.
And as you can see, it really was a mistake to let me get so close, because my turrets, my heavy turrets, are able to take
Danger.
down like 20% of their shields in each volley. So,
Incoming
so long as I can
missile.
take this on fairly quickly and get out of here, I'm not in any danger. However, if they're able to delay me long enough for another Imperial fleet, especially one with a Star Destroyer, to show up,
Danger.
I'm going to lose this Venator. And I really don't want
Incoming
to, which is
missile.
why I'm showing so much of this fight, because
You're in
fighting
serious
off the ship
trouble.
engagements is far more dangerous than taking on the stations themselves,
You're going
just
to
because
get
they
it
can
now.
move. You can use the body of a station to block
Incoming missile.
most of their turret fire on a lot of the designs that
Danger.
they have. It's the same as you would a larger ship when you're flying a fighter,
Incoming missile.
but when you're flying a capital ship, other capital ships and also, you know, squadrons of snub fighters are super dangerous.
TIE interceptor. Customs corvette.
As you can see, I did lose most of my squadron of hyena bombers taking on that ship,
Danger.
but
Imperial
honestly, it's worth it.
cruiser.
Just to, I mean, the mission alone more than paid
TIE
for them.
fighter. TIE route. Imperial Cosenti cruiser. Incoming missile.
Not to mention the blow that I'm striking against the Empire right now, taking on multiple capital ships, destroying a station, etc.
Danger.
I want to go home. You
Incoming missile.
Get spaced.
You're really asking for it now.
Danger.
Oh no!
requesting permission to dock.
Hybrid. Danger. Imperial goes anti-cruiser.
Something hit us.
For reference, I probably would have lost this fight if it weren't for my fighter and Corvette complement. As
Danger.
powerful as they are and as helpful as they are, a Venator Star Destroyer is more or less helpless on its own against anything medium or smaller.
That was a bad move. Help!
Imperial goes anti-cruiser.
Spare us, please.
Taking shield damage.
You're gonna die.
We found something out here.
It's kind of funny to me how powerful the Venator is against large and extra large ships versus just how helpless it is versus the smaller vessels. One thing I will say is it's not quite as helpless as I'm making out, even without its fighter complement. It does. The Hut version that I have specifically has concussion missile
Imperial
launchers,
goes
2 of them,
anti-cruiser.
and those can shred fighters fairly well. Not so much the mediums, but it can take on fighters fairly easily. Unfortunately, you only have a limited number, unlike turbo lasers and laser cannons, and they're fairly expensive to rearm. So, not quite as helpless as I've been making out, but you can be attrited fairly easily if they send enough fighters after you,
Get lost.
or if you are not paying attention to your logistics, your supplies, and you run out of missiles, you do become just 100% helpless. That's why I tend to keep mine disarmed outside of an emergency. If I notice that I am starting to, face a lot of enemies, or I'm taking a lot of fighter losses, or if I've already lost most of my fighters and I'm being attacked by snub fighters, etc., I'll turn them on. But I do prefer to handle fighters with my lasers and my own fighters, if I can. Just because it does take something like 20 minutes to send your Star Destroyer to go pick up a new load of missiles. And that's not ideal, but it's fine if you can finish the combat and safely get to an equipment dock. But if you can't, you will die. It makes you very vulnerable. But as you can see, I have been able to successfully take on this production factory, make those 15 million credits right quick, leaving me at a cool 53.5 million credits. More than covering my fighter and bomber losses. It should let me, in fact, expand a little bit to a larger fighter complement. Which I plan to do, just because that is the strong suit of the Venator. And one of the next combat missions I intend to take on, spoiler alert, is the player headquarters. I'm not going to jump directly into that. There is at least one more episode of setup for how I want to get ready for that mission. At least one. Oh, you can see that that fleet is on that gate. I am taking the gamble right now that the immobilizer is out of range, because it looks like it is, but I'm not certain. Taking the gamble. I'm also hoping, just because I can see some of those other ships that should be hostile to the Empire flying by without being pulled out of travel mode. Anywho, I think there's going to be one more episode of a kind of economic preparation. And then I'm going to take on the player headquarters. And as I mentioned several episodes ago, the one I'm planning to take on is the one in the mall, because it is the one that is held by Imperial forces.
Disengaged.
So I've got a plan to take it on, and I'm really excited to take on the forces that are
Jump
guarding that
completed.
station.
With or
Not to mention, once I take it, I can do the teleportation researches
engaged.
and not have to worry so much about flying fighters and shuttles everywhere, which is very quickly getting to be very time-consuming and exhausting. Fortunately, my gamble paid off, and I am able to fly right past that immobilizer.
Taking serious damage. Approaching jump gate.
Acclimator 1 transport. Autopilot disengaged.
And look at that. We've made it safely out. Mission complete. I'll probably wind up doing the other two destroy station missions off camera. Well, I mean, I've
Jump
recorded it.
completed.
I think
Alright.
I've finished them already. But I might not show them in the edited episode, just because it is going to be more of the same. But I wanted to show this. This is really the first major steps towards fighting the Empire that Obi-Wan has been able to take. Allying himself with the Mandalorians and taking that on. So, in terms of what we're doing here with the series and with the channel, I've got a poll up in the community section on which game I should make a series on next, and that's going to get more and more important as time goes on, because we should be able to take on the Executor fairly soon. I'm reaching the point, through all of my economic preparation, of snowballing. It won't take very long to be able to buy, for instance, my second capital ship compared to how long it took me to get the Negotiator here. So, unless I intentionally slow down a little bit, show a little bit more of what I'm doing, I should be able to take on the Executor within just a handful more episodes. And I'm still fairly confident that's where I want to end this series, so that it doesn't just drag on into infinity, and so I can move on to other things. Now, whether that's going to be a different X4 series in vanilla or Interworlds or a different game altogether, I'm not going to say it's totally up to you guys, but that poll is going to kind of sway me in what I do. Right now, it seems to be neck and neck between a vanilla X4 run and a RimWorld playthrough. And I think personally, I am most interested in doing a RimWorld playthrough first, to kind of give myself a break from editing X4 videos. I love the game, but the editing of the videos is a little much. And then once I've finished that RimWorld run, or at least ended it, I don't know, obviously, in advance whether or not I win. Probably I'll do a more difficult one, permadeath, something like that, so there will be a chance of losing. I'm not very good at the game, frankly. But once I finish that run, I might move on to an X4 vanilla run, or put up another poll. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Next episode should be out next Friday at 2 p.m., as always. I hope you've enjoyed.